Hello and welcome to All For United WFC. Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUWSC. Got a special show tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about Man United Women's Supporters Club. We're going to be talking a bit about the fans forum that was held last week. We're going to talk a little bit about pretty much everything really. Got a lot going on this week. So Nat, just started off with yourself before we introduce Deb and Marc a little bit more professionally. Within that limbo period, aren't we? Chelsea's gone, Birmingham's coming. Where's your mind there? Are you still thinking about Chelsea, or are you firmly on Birmingham now?
I'm on Birmingham now. I know, obviously, there's a press conference tomorrow. Hopefully, there'll be some good questions asked, and that'll obviously be more looking forward to who's fit, what players you're going to play, what this, what that. Are you going to change tactics? And it's that kind of conversation that I do love and I do want to hear. And I mean, even with Ollie last night, he changed it. He has said that he changed it. He did 2 8s or something. You know, he didn't do the double pivot. He didn't do the Fred and McTominay. He did McTominay and Pogba. And, you know, are they going to ask Ollie, oh, are you going to change it? You're going to start Cavani and things like that. Is he going to start Russo? That's a question probably they'll ask. And these are the questions that we're asking. So, you know, I'm looking forward to the press conference. I think I retweeted something that Anton from Sky. So Sky have got a sit-down interview with him. So, and I think a lot of it he talks about probably what happened at Chelsea and then looking forward and then the future plans. But in terms of sort of Chelsea and the reaction, I know I watched that Tuesday show and it was really good. And it was good hearing from Connor and Emma and Matt and yourself. And it was just good hearing, like, we are going to be like this. We're passionate people. And I know that's not like a reason to then go and say, but, you know, Emma talks about the way I said embarrassing, but it is embarrassing. It's embarrassing for me. What was embarrassing for me as well is losing to Villa. Is embarrassing losing 6-1 Man United all those times ago versus City. And it will be embarrassing if we lose 6-1 again for the women. But that doesn't mean that it all stops and you don't stop supporting and you're not behind them 100%. You are behind them. But I think you just need to, we need to accept that, you know, we felt that certain way and we can't stop ourselves from saying how we felt because, you know, we're cheering them at the end. We clapped them all off and we'll always do that. But we did feel that sense of embarrassment, that sense of upset, hurt. And we know they didn't go out and mean it. And, you know, they've come out and a few of them have come out and apologised. And, you know, I feel like it was genuine apologies. So, you know, it is what it is. It's football, you know. You get the highs and the lows. It was a low on Sunday. And now I'm looking for a high the following Sunday. And that's it. It's a roller coaster.
You mentioned there a bit about the press conference coming up, and this is one question, Nat, if you could be in that room, because it's an important time for Skinner at the moment. If there's one thing that you could ask him, what would it be? And I'll probably guess that it's probably going to be to do with personnel, I would have thought.
Well, you know what? It wouldn't be because I know those questions are going to get asked anyway. So it's like, I might actually drop it into, let's see, but it would be, do you realise how big this club is now? And I mean that in terms of, like, he probably, I don't know. I know we've spoken to a few people and it's like that reaction, but that reaction for me is normal. And if you want more people to come through the door, that reaction is only going to get bigger. So it's sort of as if, do you realise, like, how big it is? I know some people were saying they were upset over the fact that he sort of said, well, it's a loss. We've lost 3 points. No. You know, 6, conceding 6 goals at home is big, mate. It's not little, but, you know, and I suppose that would be my question to him. Did you know, after you've seen the reaction of fans and heard and podcasts and this and that, do you realise how big it is now? More so than probably when you first joined. That's a good question, that. They should put me in the wooden, but that is a damn good question.
Marc, Deborah, thank you very much for coming on. Just for anyone in the comments who doesn't know Marc and Deb, let's just do a bit of an introduction. Marc, we'll start off with yourself. I think it's your first time on the channel. Just a bit about your United history.
So I'm not Marc Skinner, even though we're still in it. Like, I'm what Natalie calls the granddad of the club because she thinks I'm the oldest person there, but there is actually a few older than me. United is my life. I've travelled the world watching United, much like Nat, and I love watching the women's side. I love watching them play. But for me, like Nat and probably Debs and a few of the others, it's following another United team and getting them the support that they deserve. So yeah, for me, it's great. I love watching them play. Like Nat, Sunday hurt, but the minute the game's over, you click onto the next one, and we go again, and we see what happens now, and we just concentrate completely now on Sunday.
Yeah, and you was there from the very start as well, was it, Mark? So
yeah, I was there. I was there at the Reading game, and then to my right hand side, I heard this person singing and shouting and screaming, and she kind of drew us all to her. And then we started a little group, and then it became a big group. And I became good friends with Nat.
I'm just reading this comment here about tickets, but that's good to hear that, Vincent, because I know that there's a couple of people having a bit of concern on that. I was actually going to ask Mark and Deb about that, but it looks like that's all cleared up now, which is good news. Deb, just about yourself then. So just introduce yourself however you want.
Yeah, I guess Mark and I have got similarity in that we grew up in half red, half blue families. But thankfully, the red side was more dominant. So bit of red from day one. Casual match goer through my youth, and then we started going to games a lot together. Both season ticket holders at the men and the women. When in the days of being able to go to Carrington to watch the 18s, we'd go there. We watch the 23s. They're at Lee, thankfully, so we can go to their games. Devs, Nat, God bless the Devs. We love them. For me, it's Manchester United. And as far as I'm concerned, my love is for Manchester United, whether that's men, women, youth, whatever level. We always say if there was a Tiddlywinks team, we'd give them our love. In terms of the supporters club, yeah, absolutely. It more or less just grew out of a need, just a need for some organisation and to try and get everybody together and get buses sorted. That was one of the first things, and Nat was certainly really instrumental in that. And it's just the way that things have moved now, and we've progressed that. We've had a lot more involvement, and there's a load of stuff that happens I've probably forgotten about. But yeah, for us, we make our decisions about our lives around United. We joke about holidays and things like that. Most of our money goes on following United. I know some people wouldn't appreciate that, but it's what we know, it's what we do. And it's, I suppose it defines us in some ways.
Connor's in the comments. He's very similar to you. So he follows the under-23s and the season ticket for the men's, but this season he's come across to the women's as well. He's got a season ticket and he's been to 2 or 3 games already. Looking forward to Sunday. And it's great. And this is, I'm not quite at that level. I'm not a season ticket for the men's because I can't have 2 weekends. I can't have 2 days on the weekend off. I can only have a Saturday or a Sunday off, just in my line of work. But if I could, I would. It's as simple as that. But that's, you guys know I used to go to the under-23s as well, and it's great. I can't say anything different. Man United is Man United. It's as simple as that. Just keeping with this Man United Women's Supporters Club then. Deb, you are the acting chair at the moment. Just explain to the people in the comments, what actually is the Women's Supporters Club, and also what's kind of your role? What do you kind of do?
Okay, so in terms of what we are, most people probably are familiar with Barmy Army, and that's the name that kind of summed up a group of United fans. And in many ways, the Barmy Army was the beginning of the Supporters Club. And the Barmy Army was the mad lot on the back row at Lee who would sing, we put the songbook together, we'd hand out copies of that, and we organised our own travel. And really, we followed the team home and away. Even got to go to Oslo for pre-season a couple of years ago. Further afield, we got to Glasgow earlier in this season as well. So it really was just initially a group of people following the team and showing that support, and a support that I suppose was pretty new to women's football, or at least unusual to women's football, not what commonly has happened in the top divisions. And as time's gone on, we've realised that there are conversations we want to really be a part of. There's input we want to have with the club. There's things we want them to feed back to us about as well. And in that process, we realised that Barmy Army, as much as it describes what we might be like at a game, there's a lot in between that it doesn't sum us up. And it really was unfair to us and also to anybody out there who thinks, well, yeah, I want to join the supporters group, but the supporters club, but I don't want to be one of the mad ones on the back row. And I just want to really get into supporting the team. So what we did, we took a long decision about it, but we renamed ourselves. So Barmy Army became MUWSC. We still keep the ethos of Barmy Army at games. And I don't think that we'll ever lose that. I hope we never do. But in terms of the supporters club, we're now in a great position whereby we have regular meetings with the club. I know you talked about Fans Forum. We'll probably come on to that later. But as acting chair, I don't know. I think our roles get a little bit messed around. I guess it sometimes means that I'm the one that just makes sure that we're on target, we're focused, and sometimes have those difficult conversations, but also just push things a little bit more. And some days it's great. Other days it's a load of headaches, but that's when we know that we're reaching out to people.
I think the important thing is, and this is a conversation that Nat, Debs and I always had, especially Debs and Nat, is that at the very beginning, back in February 2019, when we sat around in hotel football, there was Nat, there was Debs, there was me, there was Ben, there was, I think, Craney, Jack, Fran. We all sat there and we all didn't know where we could be. Were we an atmospheric group? Where were we? And Nat always said, we're going to fall somewhere completely in the middle. We're either a bit of this and a bit of that, or we'll be completely in the middle. And actually, we didn't know where we could define ourselves. And I think a lot of it came down to the point where Nat said, and Debs and Nat had a meeting shortly after the Liverpool game in the WSL, and they sat down with the club. And Nat came back into hotel football after that, and she says, right, I know where we need to go now. And actually, Nat kind of led the way to where we are now. And actually, go on.
Nat and I went to a meeting with the women's network lead, the FSA, and her question to us, and this is back in the beginning of United being in the Super League. Nat, we were asked what we want to be, and you and I looked at each other and went, I think we're an atmosphere group, because at that point, that's what we thought we were. That's what we thought we could achieve. We had no idea that we could look at having this kind of sustained contact and this impact that we have had. So we've grown and we've learnt a lot of what we're capable of. And a lot of that's from seeing other clubs and other team supporters clubs and what they've got and what they want. And really, we didn't know what we were capable of. Nah, this was
I think that we want different from what others want. We do want the same. Everyone wants the same. They want the women's game to grow. They want it to be best. But I think we want. But then that's getting into another conversation. But I think then we realise that there's an impact that we can have, and that's why a lot of people always come up to me and they say, "I'm part of the Barmy Army," and I think, yeah, you are. You are part of the Barmy Army. You stand next to me. You sing. You whatever. You stand in front. You do this. You do that. You bought a badge. Of course, you're part of it. But the supporters club is just making that official. That's what I always say to people. Well, what have you signed up? No, signed up to what? I don't know. And I think that's what it is. It's making it official that you are part of it, that you do have a voice. I think it all kicked off, and this is what we're then going to go into, when the Super League happened.
Yeah.
And we three of us sat together and said, we need to put a statement out. We don't support it. Yes, there wasn't a lot of talk about how it would affect the women's game, but we knew it would affect the women's game because it wasn't talked about. The fact that there was and the women's game will follow. That's what it was. So obviously there was a strongly worded statement. Then there was a strongly worded statement when Casey left. And like I said, those two, I think, with what was going on in the whole club, is what really triggered it, because I think they've thought, we've upset our men's fans with the Super League. We upset our women's fans with the way that the women were being treated and the Casey and all this. So I think they realised that, well, they can't be, we have a voice, and I think a lot of journalists retweet. We have journalists on this show. We talk about a lot of issues in the women's game as a whole. And I think, what's it called? Advocacy, is it advocacy or...
Yeah.
I can't even remember. In the women's game, is talking, is highlighting issues, is talking. Me and you, John, we were talking about MWSL issues. But then that's not, say, people might think, well, I'm a Man United fan, I don't care about that. But do you not see how the bigger picture, how it's going to affect if the NWSL collapse? Then there's loads of players out there. How are then, women's football going to survive, etc., and it affects it all. So I think, I want to go back to that comment that Connor's put about the TRA.
Yep.
I think it's not going to be the TRA, Connor, and I don't know if, tell me if I'm speaking, it's going to be more the must. It's going to be that. I think effectively what we're working towards, certainly at home games, because obviously TRA is home games, whether we have a designated section, I think with TRA it's kind of different. They have to have that section and it has to just be those fans, whereas we've often spread around. And I think that what's happened, and I think the TRA are amazing, and they're doing the most incredible job this season. We're fortunate where we sit at Old Trafford. We're literally half a dozen seats from them, and they are doing wonders for the atmosphere this season. But in terms of the women's game, we've kind of developed one without it being an official, this is your TRA. It's something that we've mentioned with regards to other details about when we've met with the club, Shane and myself, about seating and about positioning and having a designated singing section. It's a work in progress. Obviously, at the moment, this season, we've got COVID restrictions. They've changed some things, and obviously that's still impacting at the moment. But, if we could organise some form of TRA, I think we need a new name for it. I think we definitely would go for it because we've seen the impact it's had, but we do it would be in a slightly different way. I like to think that the Barmy Army is the TRA, and the Barmy Army is. I don't know if you can you see in the comments, that's what I've just put. TRA is Barmy Army, Man United is in a private chat, guys, but Man United Women's Supporters Club is like the must. And I know that there's a lot of hate, not hate because I think that's stupid, but there's a lot of questioning of must recently. And for me, must is just your supporters club. And must doesn't hate fan cams, doesn't hate this, doesn't hate that. Must is Manchester United fans being together, being united. The protest that happened, it was must, putting it out. There was 2 protests. There was one that was earlier. There was a lot of fan cam. Listen, this is a fan cam. You know what I mean? This is fan cams, whatever. I don't care. There was one that was organised the first week. That was fan channels. Then there was one where Must started tweeting. And Must said, come. And that's the one, Liverpool game. I'm not saying that Must said run the pitch. No, of course they didn't. But they got that there. And like I said, everyone I think most fans are agree that maybe that Liverpool game did need to be stopped for action to happen. You know what I mean? Whether it was the right way it was stopped, it is what it is. It needed to be stopped for action to happen. So that's what I think, you need to look at the supporters club it's like the when there are issues in the wider football, in football, that's where you go to. When you can't, like what Vincent was saying, I've got trouble with tickets, that's where you go to. Yeah. Whereas, and I think that more people should sign up. I don't know why they're not. I don't know if they think this and that. It's click. It's this. It's not a click. It's about, like you say, strength in numbers. It's about, us being united. That's what it's all about. We go there. We all support the team. So sign up. Why not? It's not this one, that one. It's
free. It's free. No. We're not asking anything. We do have 2 memberships. You can pay us if you want, but there's also another one that's free. We're not going to ask you for anything. We don't need you to contribute. If you want to, that's great. But really, it's the best way to have a direct voice and an input to the club. And I've always said you can complain about something for as long as you want, but sometimes you've got to get in it and do it. And this is one way that you can genuinely have your voice heard. I know we'll talk about the forum and the point of the forum, but that's it. And Namrata's saying it there. You can also sign up if you're an international fan. Absolutely. And I'm just going to jump in. You put a quick good evening from Natasha. Can I just say I'm being selfish on this one? She's been told she's not well at the moment. So this is the only entertainment she's had all day. So good to see you, and I hope you get. Go on, Mark, you're going to jump in. I
think, Nat, you and I and Debs and John, the love for the club that we have is, no one can understand it. Nat, you and I have travelled the world. We've been to see United in European Cup finals. We've been to pre-season. We've done all these things. We know the way United work as a club. 2 years ago, you and I, Nat, were thinking, do we go to Barcelona for the Champions League quarter-final? But then we're playing Villa the following night. Do we do both? Can we do both? And that's that was our issue. What do we do? Can we do both? And what we want to do is grow a supporters club that can go to every game, that can go and watch United women at home, abroad, away at St Andrews on a Sunday night. That's what we want. And there's a lot of people who come to United games who don't understand what happens on the back rows of a game. Because once we get into a game, we're all laser focused on the game and also singing. But actually, if you ever stop to have a look, there's people who just turn around and going, what are you doing?
Or people that edge as the weeks go on. And we know these people, we've spoken to them, they edge back closer and closer and closer.
I was one of those people.
Yeah. There you go.
Fiona.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the R9s and the other people that we chat to, just like that. Yeah.
You know what? The game on Sunday, and I missed the Reading one, and devastated that I missed it. But as I was walking out of my car where I parked, and I walked down and I saw hiya, letting on to everyone, hiya. And there was a gentleman, and I've probably met him before, and he said, "Oh, the podcast that kept me going, all this, what I think," and I'm sure he's probably watching now. Sign up, because, like you say, the strength in numbers. You don't have to do anything; it's free. But it's just like you said, when we want a singing section, bang, right, this is what we want. And if you want something, there's no point typing on Twitter, because I saw a lot of people typing on Twitter. This is a disgrace, the way that they're treating the women's team. So why are you not sign up to your supporters club? That, to me, you can type on Twitter. I type on Twitter. I come on here. We have Reese, we have Rich, we have this, we have that, we have Molly, we have Emma. We talk about all these things, but I'm still part of my supporters club. So you can type on Twitter, come on the podcast, do this, do that, and still be part of it. Because like you say, if there was 2,000 fans, so if everyone in that stadium was signed up, then it's like, boom, this is what all your fans think.
And Nat, full well, John, we've explained it to you. When talking about people tweeting about Casey's departure and all that came from that, we put out a statement. Okay, wasn't the most strongly worded statement. It was pretty. I thought pretty easygoing. Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. On the back of that, I sent that to the club, and that was when I was invited in at very short notice to a meeting. And I know you talked about that meeting, but we had John Murta there. We had, I think this was the one that they publicised. You got director of comms, you got the general manager. This was one of those, all right, what's going wrong? What's the mood in the fans? And then that gave me, it was just me at that point, the opportunity to feed back and say, this is the mood. This is what's happening. And the one thing I would say, it's not hyperbole to say, join us and we'll make a difference. There was a decision that was made as recently as yesterday with regards to tickets for the Conti Cup games. That decision that initially was made, we managed to get changed. That's not me just saying, that genuinely is us saying to somebody, we had that potential, we had the capacity to speak to the people. And we said, look, this is what our members are saying. This is what the wider fan base is saying. Back in May, the fan base is really shattered about what's gone on with Casey. This is what needs to happen. And yes, there were still some stumbles along the way, but it's those lines of communication. We represent people better when they engage with us. And we're not going to make everybody happy. We can't possibly do that. but we can go with the majority. And when the majority say, actually, we want to buy a Conti ticket in the West Ham South, less than 24 hours, we get that shifted. There's other things. There's another change that will come in, you'll be told about soon. And that's something that people have said to us, we don't like this. And it won't affect everybody. Some people go, yeah, I don't care for it. But it affected enough people for us to go back to the club and say, this is a problem. We need to look at this. So, yeah. John, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Now, can we just like kind of make it really easy then for the people who are going to be watching this? So we might have about 200 people watching. About 100 of them might not be able to come to stadiums or might not be able to be able to join for whatever reason. But for anyone who is watching, how do they join? And then what can they expect when they have joined? What do we do from there?
That's his department.
So it's dead easy to join. You can there's the easy way is to go to the website, which is MUWSC.co.uk. Go to the membership. There's either two forms of a plus membership, which is £10 per season, or there's a free membership. For the plus membership, if you join, you get an exclusive enamel badge, 10% off our Teespring store, priority booking on the Barmy bus for away trips, and
there will be an exclusive competition just for plus members.
Yeah, exclusive competition for plus members coming up. So yeah, just jump on the website and we can go from there.
The other way, go through Twitter.
Go through Twitter in the DMs.
Send Mark a DM, or even on Insta. I think.
Yeah, go through Instagram at MUW_SC.
Some people do say I couldn't fill out the form, so I didn't do it. Don't let that be the reason you don't join us. Honestly, just drop us a line. It tends to be Mark that'll pick your messages up. Drop him a line and say, help, I don't know what's happening. I can't do this form. He'll take your details off you, and he'll sort that out, and he'll start engaging with you that way. Don't be put off by the technical issues. That's what I would say, please. And regarding the pies, if that is an issue, we'll feed that back. If there weren't enough pies,
we had no 7-Up on Sunday.
They ran out of 7-Up as well previously at the Reading game. I know it might not feel important for some people when you think about we're only worried about what's going on the pitch, but that's the fan experience. That's something we will feed back. Thank you for that. In fact, I'll just make a note. Steak pies, right. Steak pies.
And then obviously once they do join, they'll get regular emails. You keep in contact with them, letting them know what's going on. Is that pretty much the way it works?
Yeah, pretty much. We've got a couple of exclusives coming up, which we can't mention too much about now for primarily plus members. We're hoping to throw it down to the ordinary members as well. But for right now, it's going to be exclusively for plus members. There'll be over lockdown when Nat was chair, she wanted to make sure the members were kept involved. So we did competitions, we did games and puzzles. Over Christmas, we're going to have the half of the Player Year Awards.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, start thinking about it.
I'm going to go with that.
And we're going to hopefully, one of the things that we've all kind of tried to talk about now that we're coming out of lockdown and resuming a new normal is around Christmas, getting as many members and plus members around a table and just getting back to having a laugh and getting back to what we love best, and that's football. You know, Nat came on the bus to the Leicester game, and we had a proper laugh. And actually, we had a laugh on the bus. We had a laugh at the game. We had a laugh on the way back. And actually, you didn't realise how much we missed all of that. And we might seem scary, but we're really not. I haven't got the energy to be scary. Just come over and say hello to any one of us. And honestly, we'd be so glad to have people with us, because it makes things easier when we know what people want. And I know I keep saying this, tell us what you want, but honestly, it's so much easier. And the whole point of the roles we have is that we can represent people. It's not just our agenda. It's not about our egos. It's about what John wants. It's about what Nat thinks we should do. It's that. So, and pies and 7-Up, absolutely. These are fan experience issues.
So just before we move on and talk about the actual forum that you went to last week, Nat, do you just want to kind of put this a bit to bed now, just about the importance of just signing up and...
Yeah, I'm part of part of MUWSC. I think that's important too, just a wider thing. But if you want to be part of, you're not saying if you're not bothered, but if you don't want to be part of MUWSC, okay. But if you like the women's supporters, women's football, you want to see the fan base grow. You think little changes, like you said, singing section, TRA is Barmy Army. For me, I think it's important that we get. I know with COVID, all this, that, the other, money, whatever, it won't be now. But I think us being behind the goal is so important. Yeah. Well, listen, Stu, sign up, boss. Yeah, add into it. But he knows where he can add into it. But when we go into Old Trafford, how is that going to work? Because that would be an anxiety for me. And I know Stu is really keen, and I know we're going off topic now. Sorry, I've just done something in a little chat. We're going off topic now. That's the email. That's the website. Sign up. So we're going off topic. But listen, how would it work, Stu? Because I'm not keen on it. We went to Leicester. I wasn't keen on it. I don't think I'm going to be keen on it at Birmingham. The atmosphere is lost. So it's about how we would do it, where the flags would go, how we'd make it special, how we'd make it still about the women. And this is why, boom, the website's there. Thank you.
One of the things I completely agree with you, Nat. I thought the atmosphere at Leicester wasn't great.
Odd.
It was odd.
Yeah.
The stadium obviously wasn't full. It was they'll say there was 4,000. I don't think you can put. I understand the reason why they want it in the men's stadium. I understand that, but grow it in your own grounds first. Get your own grounds full and then move it over. Don't do it don't do it just because. Katie always said she never wanted to play at Old Trafford. There was a reason around it. But as people have said, if it does go, as you said, Nat, if it does go, how are we going to make it better? Because at Birmingham, we're all in one little stand at the very end.
And we're not going to enjoy it. I'm not going to enjoy it. I didn't really enjoy Leicester. I enjoyed it, but
we were in with their fans. It wasn't the same. I wanted to have a designated section.
And that one of the things that you and I always talked about, and you and I always agreed on this point, and we got into arguments with various people, is the women's game is never going to grow unless you do your segregation. You need that. And, at Leicester, we were told Leicester put out a tweet before the game that this section where we all were would be just for Man United fans. And then they changed it and they put the Leicester fans in. And
then Man United fans couldn't get into that section. And this is another reason, I suppose, join a supporters club. Talk about the experience. Just because you might have a great experience at Lee, but, there are people that are having difficulties at Lee, and we know about it, and we're going to probably talk about it. But, this is why you join your supporters club. Where is he? Woodley. Get joining it. That talk about your experience. Connor, join.
With regard to the game at Old Trafford, and we know when that game's more than likely to be. We know which game it's going to be. The mythical 3-year plan that people think exists. We've seen it on there, and as recently as last Friday, Colette Roach was saying we want to have more games at Old Trafford, and I'm a bit but knowing when that's likely to be, we're already now raising it as a concern about tickets for the away team, a section for singing. Where do we put the flags? Something like that. We are now raising those issues because, brilliant, look for Mark, get on that email. We are now looking forward to planning that in the future. We're not going to get to a point where we go, they've done this. Why have they done that? We're already getting into that. So if anybody's got any thoughts or concerns about a game at Old Trafford, for some people, it's going to be their very first trip to Old Trafford. So they might need more information before that game. Let us know what those concerns are.
You see, for me, Nat, you were at Old Trafford last night, yeah? Were you in the standing section? The standing section.
J stand.
I was in J stand, and I was in but I have been in this season the TRA, so I've done both. TRA is great though.
Yeah, TRA.
And so is the standing section.
Yeah, you see, I would ask them for the standing section if it happens.
We're working on it. We're working on it. That's all I can
Just
say
putting
right
that out
now.
there.
Okay.
There's a reason why Stuart's mentioned this. We've got a show lined up in the next fortnight or so, whenever we're both free, and we will have a show on this because Stuart has got some ideas. There's a reason why he's saying it, and he's just putting the feelers out there.
Listen,
so,
Stuart, I'm going to voice all my concerns to Stuart, and I want him to be able to handle them. I've still not told you, Stuart, about my Martha concerns. Yeah, you went off the show too early. Not concerns, just worry for her. I hope she's fit. Pray for Sunday.
So let's move to the forum then that you went to. Was it last week, Deborah?
Yeah, last Friday. So to give a bit of background, because one of the things that we realised was we were going Fans Forum. A lot of our members didn't have a clue what Fans Forum is. So forgive me if I'm teaching people to suck eggs, as the phrase is, but the Fans Forum, and Nat, you know that you've looked at applying for it in the past. Mark, I know you looked at applying for it in the past when positions became available. The Fans Forum for United, I don't know what the system is in other clubs, but it's an opportunity for representatives of certain areas, predominantly of match-going fans, not always, and then obviously you're talking the men's team historically, an opportunity for those representatives to feed into conversation with the club hierarchy about the things that matter, the things that concern them. So I don't think my vertigo could handle that. So yeah, I think we all hope that as well. We'll take that on board. But the Fans Forum traditionally has had, I think, maybe 11 fan representatives covering areas such as season ticket holders, over 65s, executive club, what else? We've got family stand members. So different areas have fed into conversation. As Nat alluded to before, the fallout of the Super League meant that United realised they had to start engaging better, and also must have pushed to get us involved in it as a supporters club. So one of the things recently was that they've expanded the Fans Forum. They're introducing a fan advisory board. So away fans go, yes, definitely, or in the bin, Shane. So we have the Fans Forum. We've got additional, I think, 5 new people on there, 5 representatives. We've been handed that position. So every forum, they meet 4 times a year. There's going to be a representative for the women's team. So last Friday, the minutes, I think, are going to be coming out either tomorrow or beginning of next week. And it's really just an opportunity to feed into any issues. So there's discussions about ticketing. And obviously, you know, the ticketing departments are going, oh, we've done this, we've done that. And I'm going, yeah, but what about the women? You didn't do that. So immediately throwing a spanner in the works. And the minutes will come out. There'll be no surprises for anybody. It's not as if I can hide something from anybody. It's all going to be out there. But it really does mean that, again, we have a formal opportunity to feed into the club 4 times a year. And you can, on the United website, actually submit a question via that, or you can just come to us directly. So as well as the meetings we have every 8 weeks or so with the club hierarchy, we have this formal way of contacting them, and also of being part of a conversation. And it's really just about sitting around a table with the grand fromages, as somebody I used to work with would call them, the big cheeses at the club, as high as they can go. And I'm sure Mark will tell you my embarrassing moments last Friday. So it's just an opportunity for us to say, please recognise us. We're fans of the women's team and we want the best, and please don't ignore us.
So on that then, we've mentioned about signing up to Man United Women's Supporters Club. If they sign up, they can then pass their messages to yourself, who can then pass it directly to the
Absolutely.
board.
Yeah. I mean, Deborah and Shane have most of the dialogue. I have dialogue with a few of them. Mine this week has been about TV fixtures, trying to find out when the next set of fixtures are going to be coming out, and if they're going to be showing, for example, the Conti Cup games coming up.
Sorry, just jumping in. That we've had a conversation about recently.
Yeah,
there is something that's been in discussion.
So we do listen because, you know, in 2 weeks, is it 2 weeks tonight? We're playing Durham in the Conti Cup, and you know, one of the questions that we've been asked, and we've gone straight to the club and asked about it, is this game being shown live? And as far as I can tell you right now,
the MUTV schedule isn't out.
MUTV is scheduled to show the Durham game live 2 weeks tonight. From there on in, that we don't know yet because the schedule hasn't been set, but we can say with a high degree of certainty that the Durham game will be shown.
The plan is to show
live. So the people who can't get up to Durham, you can still watch the game. And it's people, that someone asked me last Sunday at the game, are they going to show the Durham game because I can't go? And actually, we acted on it on the following day and took a couple of days to get a reply. But we can tell everyone that game is going to be shown live on MUTV.
That's some amazing information given to us already. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. I do want to ask you this: was it done over like podcasts, like webcams, or did you have to go to Old Trafford in a room for the forum?
Okay, so this is the bit where I will lose everybody's respect. It's for anybody that's familiar with United and with the ground. So if you go, as I still refer to it, South Stand, Munich Tunnel. So director's entrance, you go in there. If anybody's ever done the tour at Old Trafford, there's the bit where they take you and they say the directors come and eat here before a game. If anybody's familiar with that, it's just behind the stairs there in that little section. It was a U-shaped table, so 2 lines of representatives, hierarchy at one end, and a big screen on one end as well with the overseas members, somebody in London who couldn't make it, and somebody who I didn't recognise at first because I didn't think he'd be there, but went, oh, that's Joel Glazer. So, yeah, everybody on a big screen, really. And the 4 people on a big screen, 2, I think, were from Australia. So all credit to them for, yeah, definitely. And that's something, Namrata, we have fed back. Because as much as we can criticise, I think it's also really important when we say, actually, you got this right. So, yeah, you've got... That's
an FA
yeah, that's an FA thing, and United don't like it. Anyway, so yeah, anybody who can't actually be there physically or it can get to a screen, they can join in via Teams. I think it was. Everybody else is physically there in the room.
Excellent. I just wanted to kind of paint that picture about walking in and just like seeing Joel Glazer up on the screen there, and the other fans. I can imagine it could be quite daunting, but it could also be quite informal. I guess it depends how it was laid out. But
I can openly say, he'll know this. I was bricking it beforehand, and I was really anxious. Fortunately, I knew a couple of people. I'd had conversations with them. If I hadn't met them physically, I'd met them online. And we were talking about, well, we know this person and this person we know already. We've had conversation with this one. But what was really nice was as I walked in, I was introduced to a few people, and they were really great from the off, made me very, very welcome. And as an experience, and I said it to Mark afterwards, they just made me really welcome and just kind of sat a little bit and let things happen. Do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah. So the cliff. So this is Nat and I. We talk about this all the time because when the team were first formed, they mentioned they were going to be based at the cliff and this, that, and the other. Debs and I sat down over the summer with Jon Murtagh from the club, the director of football for Manchester United, and basically, he said the cliff wasn't going to be used. It would cost too much for them to do it up, and what they've decided to do is put the money that was going to be used to do the cliff. They're going to put it all into Carrington to make Carrington now a universal home for every single team. They're going to have so the women's would have their own buildings, the 18s and the 23. Well, the 23s have already got the academy. They're going to make it a bigger and better facility for all the teams. Now, the layout of Carrington. So now the 18s pitch, where they've got those 2 red stands, that's been completely knocked down, and they're putting in a massive 2,000-seater stand there.
I think, there was a bit of confusion when that was announced recently. People thought that was going to be a new stadium. It's not. It's just, I think they quoted something between 500 and 2,000 seats. That is just for that pitch or a couple of pitches. It's not meant to be a stadium that we as fans will watch our team regularly at.
What I would say is, will be good if they put the devs there, maybe like they do.
And we've talked about what the aim is with that in terms of the FA as well.
So the club decided to put the money into Carrington to improve the facilities there, because after everything that came out over the summer about the facilities, they decided to push it through. The other side to it, and I'm probably the oldest on this video chat by some distance, is that the Cliff to me is the holy grail. The Cliff the office is still the same which Sir Matt had and Sir Alex first started. And for them to tear that down, it's to tear down a little bit of Manchester United history. And I understand that there'll be new fans who will go, who cares? But to me, the Cliff is sacred ground. You know, the likes of the Babes were training on that. Bobby Charlton, George Best, Dennis Law, the class of 92. And as much as I want them to have this great facility, and the Cliff would be great, I also don't want them to destroy that bit of history that we've got. You know, people talk about City having this great, you know, the academy and all these great things, but there's no history there. The Cliff is that history. And it's a part of what makes Man United fans, I think, so special, is that we embrace our history. And if they took the Cliff away from us, I think a little bit of people would go, be a bit sad about it.
And the other side to this, of course, is that as much as it would be great if the women had their own facilities, with them now being at Carrington, they now have access to all of the medical staff, including, as it was announced last week, an ankle and knee specialist. Can't help but think we might have needed that last season. But to all those people who say, no, give the women their own, actually, this is the best scenario, that they have all the medical staff on hand that would be working across the men's team, would be working across the academy. So actually, rather than being somewhere else and not having full access, this way they do. And I think as fans, that's what we would want.
Nat, let's just bring yourself in on this then, just to kind of summarise. Obviously, you don't need to be on a podcast to know what the issues are out there, but a lot of people go through you, Nat, anyway, for one thing and another. We know that we can feed back to Mark and Deb now. If there's anyone new who's watching this, any issues, what are the main issues that you've heard? One of them's come up in the comments already about the bus from Manchester to Leeds. Are there any other things that kind
main issues? I think we know, and it's sort of what was talked about: ticketing at Lee. I think just being with each other. You know, I think whether people want to sing or not, right? Everyone knows that me, you, we all want to sing. So, you know, like you said, a singing section, being like that. So that's the kind of thing. And I think that's the kind of thing that we know that's been pushed for, you know. And then I think, what was the other thing? And then obviously with what happened around Casey and all that. And I think we know, as Man United fans, we've had 2 or 3 people that have come on here, journalists, and said, well, you could put out stuff in about Man City and all their injuries and what that Gareth Taylor's saying about his academy and all that kind of stuff. No one cares. I mean, I think Molly saw a bit of aggro towards her tweet and then she retweeted it, but I still haven't seen her put out an article. But when something happens with Man United, they'll be quick to write articles, they'll be quick to do this, they'll be quick to hype it up. One journalist I'm seeing who's quick to write negative things, but then won't say anything positive. We've seen a lot of the journalists saying negative things about when we were first at Reading, but yet we're the ones who are getting the biggest attendance. Why aren't they talking about that? We're seeing now, I'm seeing a lot, and a lot of people are seeing a lot of promotion, buy your tickets, buy your season tickets, buy this, buy that, buy this, changing it, making it easy for you. But yet I'm not seeing those same people who complained say anything. So I think what people need to do is take everything that's said in by journalists and media and all that kind of stuff, even stuff generally like me to you, take it all with a pinch of salt. Join your supporters club. Take genuine issues, because even not having enough 7-Up is a genuine issue. I want to drink Fanta. Where's that? That's a genuine issue, because that will make me feel happier in the thing, you know? So
Yeah.
I think if you come to games, it's important that you sign up. It's free. It's important that you just have that voice. You hear what's going on. I mean, you guys can come on again whenever and talk about the issues. But I just think, you know, people do have genuine issues, you know, travel, this, that, the other. So come on, why are you not signed up then?
Yeah.
There's no reason why not to. Go on.
Just very quickly about the point about the buses. This is nothing new. Nat and I, Debs and Shane and everyone, we were dealing with this from day one. We were telling the club, put a bus on from old. We've been telling the club from day one. We know it has to happen, but
I mean, the things about the buses that I've been told from day one is, well, do you want it where they control it, or do you want it like your own? And we do sort of like the Barmy bus where it's Barmy, but then at the same time, you know, they should put on a bus that's accessible for everyone, and then you know, and then other Barmy people can be Barmy, and then but then that's the same in the stadium. Absolutely. There's some people that want to sit down. There's some people that want to stand up, and you know, everyone should have a place where they feel most comfortable. And just because you are one of the mad ones at the back that they used to say, doesn't mean that you don't have your place.
Absolutely.
Everybody's fan experience is as valid as the next person's. And that's one of the reasons why we looked at a rebrand and a rename. We've not changed who we are. We just want people to know that we are representing every single one of us. And yeah, absolutely. Good to have you on board, Connor. And that conversation about the bus, we were on a phone call 2 weeks ago. That came up again in conversation. They are thinking about it. And those are the things that sometimes, I know it's the cool thing to do, to have a go at United. They're far more receptive about a lot of things, and I've got to give them credit. You know, the other week now, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, John, maybe you saw, I think it was when City played Spurs, the City fans arrived to find that where they'd normally sit had been sheeted off. I think there might have been COVID issues. And they all jumped on Twitter, even their OSC, and said, Man City women, this is disgusting. This is awful. How dare you do this? You never negotiated, discussed it with us. And what they then did was they retweeted individual people complaining. And I went to Shane, because Shane and I are often the ones that go to the ticketing people and say, what's going on? Or we had the conversation about which side of the West Stand we were going to be put on. And I said to Shane, this means they didn't know beforehand. They've got nobody they can contact on the day, and they have no opportunity for that follow-up conversation. We walked away from the Reading game, and I sent off an email to somebody at the club to say, these are a few things that have been raised. Not major complaints. These are just a few things. Monday morning, reply comes. We end up on a phone call on the Wednesday. And I just thought, you know what? They say they're the biggest, baddest, best, whatever. They're the official. We're not even official at this stage. But we've got everybody's ear. We've got that impact. So sometimes give the club credit as well.
Mark, Deb, thank you very much for giving everybody the comments and insight into what they would probably know as the Barmy Army, but the Man United Women Supporters Club, because there's probably a few people that's been watching that probably doesn't know the ins and outs, and I think you've really got into that detail tonight. And like Natalie says, come back again. It doesn't have to be a scheduled time. It just, whenever you got any information, just give one of us a call. Before we do go, I would like your thoughts on how the season's going so far and how big the next two games are for the club and Skinner and everyone else involved. So, Deb, if you want to make a start on that one.
I think the answer was very different before Sunday. If I'm completely honest, I still have no idea what we're capable of this season. I think it could be a long season, and I said that to somebody before the Reading game. I think we've got to keep rolling, and we've got to hope that things turn our way. I'd like to think we can stay fitter than we did last year. But yeah, I'm not perhaps as optimistic as some, but also I think we've still got some great quality, and maybe if we add to that in January. But yeah, it's been the next two games. We've just got to keep putting points on the board, and Sunday's huge. Got to come away with a win.
Dave, I've got to ask you this just before we move on to Mark. A lot of fans at the start of the season was really hyping Everton up, saying, Everton's going to finish above United. What are your thoughts on that one? Because the fan base was 50-50. Then it kind of turned to Man United, and obviously Chelsea won us on the weekend, so it's kind of umming and ahhing a little bit.
I don't think we can ignore the fact that Everton have already succeeded. You know, they've won the transfer window trophy, so congratulations to them. They've got a pot in the cabinet already. But that's the flip side of it. We wanted this great quality coming in. We wanted names that were going to rock people. Doesn't mean they gel straight away. Doesn't mean that they hit the ground running. But I think as far as Everton, they'll obviously be disappointed. The Barmy tag will always, yeah, go on, Andy, jump in. I think it's, look, I'm not going to say Everton season's done, but I just think that if that team gels, yeah, they could well do something more than we do. But we're just going to make hay while we can at this point.
Listen, Everton were finishing above us. Leicester were finishing above us.
Yeah.
Spurs were finishing above us. Whoever else, Man and his dog was finishing above us. I think, like I said, it was disappointing Sunday, wasn't it? And I know, Mark, sorry if I'm undercutting you or whatever, but it was disappointing. I think everyone feels that disappointing. It's about bouncing back. In terms of Everton now, I mean, what I've heard, it's just vibes out there. It's just vibes. I think he's a good manager, Willie. I do. But everyone knows why there's that little bit of animosity there. If you don't, go and look up the history books about what happened when he left. But, it's all good fun, isn't it? And I think that's what a lot of people probably don't understand. It's all, it's going to be a competition. And, I think we said, John, fourth and a trophy, we'll be happy. And, maybe even fifth and a trophy, you'll be happy. But fourth and a trophy, bam. I think a trophy is what's needed the most, in a way. Champions League, we all want it because we all want those European away days. Of course we do. But I think we need a trophy. I think we need a final to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Mark, I mean, what do you think, one?
So I mean, I said to someone I would take 7 points out of the first three. Now I got 6, so I've got to kind of be happy with that. Sunday, yeah, it was a massive disappointment. We haven't got time to go into it, but the referee was poor. There were some decisions that, they should never. That person, we're not going to talk about the referee. Take that aside. We now move on to Sunday. I want goals. I want a bit of a performance, and then we roll into a Manchester derby, and a derby. Well, we all know what happens in a derby. You can kind of tear up the script because we've all been going into games where United have been on top and they've won the last 17 on the bounce. They've gone to a derby and they've lost. But the derby this time is a bit different, obviously with City's injury stuff and everything else. But I can't think about the derby. Let's get Sunday out of the way first. Let's get that one done because that's the most important. But I'm probably one of the few that has actually been quite impressed with the way Mark Skinner's played. I like Hannah Blundell at right back. I think Ethan Mannion is really good. I would like to see more of Vilda Barisa. I've got to be honest. And Martha Thomas. Obviously, Martha's injured. But I'm happy right now. Sunday's been and gone. I kind of forgotten about it now. Move on to this Sunday and go.
Excellent, thank you. The time's come up. It's an hour. It's gone really quickly. There's so much more we could talk about, but hopefully we can do this again. Natalie, just finish up with yourself then. So, match day on Sunday. What are your thoughts now going into it?
3 points. What was my thoughts last night? 3 points. Ticked off. 3 points Sunday. Let's go.
Awesome. Let's look forward to that then. Thank you to everybody for joining in tonight. Don't forget to look at our Twitter. You can find the Man United Women's Supporters Club on our Twitter as well. We've been tagging them throughout the day. So if you're not on Instagram or anything else, but you're on Twitter, you can check it on there. And we'll also leave some comments under this as well. Mark, Deborah, thank you very much for coming on. And thank you to everybody in the comments. We shall see you again very soon. Thank you, guys.